Nick Gallo, OKC Thunder. Shai, I just wanted to ask you about you guys' like patience as a team to be able to hang in there after a tough first quarter and just chip away throughout the rest of the game.
Yeah, it's a long game, ups and downs, goods and bads. We've been on both sides in a basketball game. We've been up after the first and down after the first. We know it's a lot of game left and stuff we can control.
This is 3 straight games for you with at least 5 steals. How are you fitting in just within the team concept, but then also being aggressive when you have your opportunities?
Yeah, just trying to impact the game every possession in any way that I can, defensively, offensively. That's my mindset.
Shai, this is your fifth game, I think, this season with at least 5 steals. Just defensively, is this the most free you've maybe felt in your career?
I don't know if free is the word, but I feel like this is the most engaged defensively I've been, and I think just as the years go on, I get smarter defensively, and pick up on guys' tendencies, and kind of see the play before the play, offensively and defensively, and I think that's why my steals are up.
Right, and obviously down the stretch, it felt like there was maybe some playoff touch to this game, just real animated. And you're usually on kind of like an even keel, but you got pretty animated in that overtime when Chet got the and when you like punch him in the chest. Just what are you feeling in that moment?
Basketball emotion. Excited for my teammate. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Your first year here, obviously the season got cut short. I don't know exactly what the crowds were like, but did people tell you about like what it used to be like to play here back in the day and what the home crowd was like? And have you experienced some of that this year?
Yeah, actually my first year when I was with the Clippers, it was insane in here. Both times that we came. So I kind of remember it in like Russell's era. But yeah, the crowd has been amazing, for sure.
What was it like in there tonight, just the atmosphere?
Exact same way. Nuts.
Shai, I think a lot of guys can relate to just feeling hot whenever you're making a bunch of shots, but do you feel like hot or like you're on a roll defensively in a lot of these games where you have 5 steals in 3 straight games?
Nah, I don't really feel hot defensively. I just try to compete and try to be as engaged as I can defensively, and that's just leading to a big number of steals. But yeah, I don't really feel anything.
And then speaking of being a leader, you know, you're the leader of one of the younger teams in the NBA. How do you feel like they've responded to like what Joel said about playoff type environments that you've had so far this year in a few games?
Yeah, really good. We got a bunch of competitors on the team, guys that don't back down, guys that want to be great at the end of the day. And we all know that to be great, you got to test yourself against the great. And obviously it was a dynasty that came in here today. And it's just been multiple games like that this year where we play the best of the best. We rise to the challenge.
Shai, Mark won his 100th game tonight.
Finally.
And it's something that he's really downplaying. He really didn't want to talk about it, but can you just talk about, I mean, you guys that are 100 together, if you think about it, what has he done for you as a coach? And just talk about Mark a little bit.
He's been really open and honest. I think that's his best attribute. He's open and honest, and really cares about the person. Obviously, he's a great basketball mind, but the person he is what makes it a little bit more special and makes us a little more happy for him.
Anybody else? All right, we'll go last in front to Derek.
Can you kind of speak to Chet Holmgren's poise tonight to hit 3 free throws as a rookie and send the game to overtime?
Yeah, that's who he is. He's gutsy. He does whatever it takes to win. And I said before, last time he played Golden State, took a turnaround buzzer beater. Tonight it took 3 free throws. Whatever it takes for us to win, whatever it looks like, Chet's willing to do. And he showed it again tonight.
Nick Gallo, OKC Thunder. J-Dub, just want to ask you about like the passion out there on the floor tonight. Seemed like you guys' love for the game was just really spilling out there tonight.
Yeah. The energy in the building was really good from start to finish. That's kind of how it always is with Golden State. So I don't know, it was just fun to play, fun to play around. Made a lot of big moments. It felt like we were kind of down the whole game too. So to kind of make that push to go up, and then there was a bunch of lead changes on the fourth and overtime. Just kind of emotion just kind of spills out. So it's really fun to play that way.
You've talked about kind of that process of finding your balance. Seemed to really hit the gas tonight offensively. What was the game telling you?
My jump shot felt well, so I was like, I'm gonna shoot the ball. That's probably the most simple way to put it. But I was put in really good positions to be able to kind of create and do that. Credit to everybody else too. I think when I'm out there with 5 guys that can put pressure on the 3-point line, and like even Zay, if he's not making shots, or having Chet being able to kind of stretch the floor out, like obviously Shai and Josh being able to pass, like when you are around teammates that can create for a lot, it opens up the floor, and it's almost like kind of pick your poison. So I thought we did a good job spacing the floor and had a good correctional game coming from Houston. So probably just a lot of credit to that, and then obviously I got to make the shots when I take them, and I was able to do that.
Jalen, toward the end of that game, obviously you had your hands all over that, kind of took off. Just, I know every night isn't going to be everybody's night guaranteed, but what clicks when you go into that mode?
Just trying to center myself during the fourth. The first 5 minutes of the fourth are just as important as the first 5 minutes of the game. So taking that into mind, not really like easing into the game, and just being really aggressive. Making people have to play me, and I think when I'm in that mode, kind of being aggressive consistently, it opens up the floor for everybody else to be able to create as well. I don't really play selfish. I like to get off the rock and let people create as well. So I think when I find a good balance of that, like I've been doing the rest of this year, we're kind of hard to deal with.
Yeah, and I think we've seen different on-court personalities from you. I think in that overtime moment where you kind of got the block and then went out of bounds, that's probably as animated as I've seen you. Just what are you feeling in that moment?
That's Dub. Usually I'm Jalen. That was Dub. Whenever I start yelling, that's a different dude. So I can't really answer the rest of that one.
Yeah, and I saw you retweet the meme, the pizza rolls.
I was just showing Layla that.
Describe that moment and what that felt like at the time.
That was just a big play, and it was fun to be able to yell with the guys. Shai don't ever yell, so if he's yelling, I'm gonna start screaming for sure. Same thing with Chet. So that was fun. That was cool.
Jalen, the first year or so you were here, did people tell you like this place used to be great, the crowd used to be so loud, it used to be such a hard place to play? Did you hear that kind of stuff, and are you starting to see the things you heard about them?
Yeah, it's been like that all year. I feel like for the most part, it's gradually getting louder and louder. Yeah, so credit to the fans. I love playing here, so it's fun. It's definitely, depending on the team, sometimes it gets really loud because Golden State fans travel well. I think like Lakers usually travel really well, so you kind of get both ends of the spectrum. So it's fun to play here. It's definitely getting louder and louder, so definitely louder than last year, so it's cool.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Jalen, you were talking about the emotion of the game, yelling and things like that. How do you kind of compartmentalize during the game where you have a big play like Chet gets the and one off the rebound, but also settle back in of you guys still have to finish the game?
That's a good question. I think we understand that we're big on like 20 and 5. It's about like 20 possessions left when you got 5 minutes to go, and I think we're doing a better job of understanding like there's a lot of possessions and like craziness that happens when the game is close within 5 minutes. So being able to kind of have that moment, but then also right after that be able to huddle up and kind of understand matchups and where we want to be, I think speaks volumes to our team. I think everybody's really comfortable talking to each other, and I thought we did a really good job of that tonight, so it was really easy to kind of recenter.
And Jalen, the nature of this regular season series with Golden State, it felt like every game was a different story, whether that's Shai being out, Steph being out. I know you haven't been there yet, but did it feel like this could be what a postseason series could feel like?
Oh, for sure. Whenever you play a team that's been to that many finals and that many, they've been through they've lost in the finals, won in the finals, one of the greatest, like statistically, one of the greatest seasons, ever. So I think whenever you're playing a team like that, it's always going to feel like a playoff game because it takes, that level of focus to be able to go out there and execute. They have guys on their team that have scored, however many points, and they just know what they want to do on offense. So when you're playing a team like that, the level of focus is definitely like that, kind of playoff thing. And that's something that we're not trying to do just with Golden State. We're trying to, no matter who we're playing, Lakers, Celtics, like whoever we're playing on any given night, that's the level of focus that kind of required to go win.
Last one, go ahead.
First of all, I do approve of Candy Canes also. They're one of my
Appreciate it. This one's fire, too.
Great time of year for this. But really, I want to ask about Mark. Mark got his 100th win as a coach. He kind of downplayed it quite a bit over the last week or so, even leading up to it. But can you just talk about Mark as a coach and just what he's meant to you as a coach?
Yeah. It takes a lot of belief as a coach to, for me to have the route I took to get to the NBA and be able to just kind of throw me out there and let me play. So it's a big salute to him, just trusting not only me, but that he trusts everybody. And I think there's a level of confidence that comes with that as players, knowing that, kind of just throw you in there to learn. And, he's big on growing with experiences. So I think the team senses that, and he's kind of able to relate to us and, kind of just let us figure it out. He doesn't really overcoach us and just kind of lets us flow. And, obviously when your X's and O's and you can kind of relate to us as players, I think it's something that everybody enjoys playing with. And, so just credit to him. Obviously the rest of the coaching staff letting us play and just kind of be free and kind of giving us structure. And, he also gives us room to kind of grow and learn what we want to be. So, big props to him. It's fun being coached by him.
Nick Gallo, OKC Thunder. Chet, I just want to ask you about the and one in overtime and the moment where Shai and Dub are yelling at you and what that feels like out on the floor.
Man, it's big time. Just all being on the same page like that, and you could tell that everybody on the court really wanted to win that game, and that's just kind of a visualization of it, I guess.
And, we've talked about turnovers throughout the season. You guys forced 29 tonight. How have you guys struck the balance between being aggressive but being in the shell discipline too?
Yeah, I mean, that's just credit to having high-level perimeter defenders. And, we've got them all over the floor. And also credit to the coaches for putting together a good game plan and, allowing us to have a good feel for what's going on out there, especially early in the game. And then, the Warriors are kind of a pass-centric team. So, the ball's in the air a lot. So we got to do a good job of having energy and reading the game. And, I feel like, our guards do a great job of that every night, but especially tonight.
What else we got?
Chet, I wonder whether, growing up, watching games maybe on TV or when you got here, if you heard about, what a great building this could be, the atmosphere, the crowd, and whether you're kind of experiencing that now.
Yes. Obviously, early on when I was young, watching the playoff series, way back when, I think the first one I watched was that Thunder Heat finals, and just seeing everybody in white T-shirts and the place erupting, and then just year after that, the place being packed out and having energy. And it's great to be able to play for a fan base that cares as much as we do, and we're appreciative of all the support they give us. They're out there giving us energy, whether it be the chants or whatever they're saying. They're respectfully yelling at the other team and stuff too. So it's great. It's definitely helps with our home court advantage.
Check. Kind of on the same line. This season series with Golden State, it feels like there's been a different story every game's kind of been similarly entertaining. I know you haven't been there yet, but did it feel like these few games had, some playoff elements to them?
100%. I mean, it's two really good teams with really good players on both sides and a really good coaching staff on both sides. Like every single game came down to the wire. It felt like, and that's just credit to everybody going out there, both sides. Really wanting it, and then the coaches making adjustments. Not one of the games we saw the same thing all game long, or game to game. There was a lot of adjustments, and each team had to adjust, and just it's high level basketball. So it definitely resembles playoff atmosphere in the arenas, and the energy was definitely there too. You could tell both teams wanted to win.
Yeah, and we've talked endlessly about you finding your shots within the system and just never really stepping outside yourself. On a night where you might start quietly, how do you brace yourself to shoot those free throws at the end of regulation?
I mean, you can't really prepare for it before it happens, I guess, because it just kind of you don't know that Draymond is gonna foul me. You don't know that I'm gonna end up open off that play. You just have to be ready for whatever comes. There's ups and downs throughout the game. I had some early fouls. Didn't agree with all of them, but you just kind of got to take the game as it comes and make adjustments. And I feel like, I could have been better, but I still did a great job of really staying locked in and just handling what I could control. And at the end, that was making those free throws.
Yeah, and so I guess a follow-up to that would be, I think of those free throws. I think of the three you hit out in Golden State. You mentioned you can't prepare yourself to be fouled by Draymond, but just how do you mentally prepare yourself to insert yourself in big moments like that, especially as a guy, a rookie who hasn't really been here before?
Like I said, always being ready and being locked in for whatever the game gives you, and credit to my teammates for finding me in those situations and my coaches for putting me in those situations. It shows the level of trust that they have for me to be able to execute and make winning plays for us, and that comes down to the work that they see me put in, and the repetitions and the understanding of what we're doing. It comes down to that, and without them putting me in that position, it just wouldn't happen.
Yeah, and I know you're a competitive dude. Draymond's long been a competitive dude. When he fouled out there at the end of the game, just what was that kind of back and forth like, or what was the back and forth?
No, it wasn't even any trash talk. The ref came over. I forgot which one it was, but came over he was breaking up a fight. We were like, no, we're just talking. I was trying to tell him that's a foul. The dude's he was trying to take a charge, but he's in the restricted circle, and he's like, nah, I was the primary defender on Lou, and I was like, nah, you're just guarding Zay, and then rotated, and so we were just. It wasn't even trash talk or argument. It was just talking about basketball, I guess. So, yeah, no storyline there.
Sorry, Chet, when you were watching the guys last season, you said that you didn't need to come in and do too much. You said you just needed to make the team 5 points better, somewhere around there. Do you feel like you've done that in your short time this season?
I wouldn't put it that way. I feel like I've made winning plays, but I also have to continue to be better. You'd rather win the game by 10 and eliminate the chances of great players making great plays at the end of games than have to make heroic plays down the stretch. And there's a lot of things I can clean up to continue to do that and try to build these leads at the end of games. But at the end of the day, you'd rather make big plays down the stretch when you need them than not be able to make those big plays. So, again, I feel like I'm the type of player who's ready for any type of situation. I work on my game in a lot of different ways, and if I just end up out on the court, I'm gonna make as many winning plays as I can for the team.
Chet, again on the three free throws that you buried at the end, I can't imagine this is the first time you've been fouled late in the game in a situation like that, but it's a little bit different where there's a big timeout where they're reviewing it. When you're in that situation on the bench, are you trying to stay locked in? Are you trying to put your mind at ease? What exactly is going through your head before you go and take those shots?
No, in college, I got fouled late game, and there was a timeout after, and I ended up missing one of the free throws. Fortunately, it didn't end up costing us the game. We won anyways. But kind of in that timeout moment, I was thinking about the free throws and my form, et cetera, and I ended up getting tight. Like, my shot just ended up tight on the first free throw, and I missed it. So in that moment, I was just thinking, like, not about the free throws, I guess. I was like, what is coach telling me? Make sure my hands are dry, and then just go out there and shoot the free throws the same way I practice them every single day. Kind of that's just what I did. Don't think about the moment so much as the task, I guess.
Nick Gallo, OKC Thunder. Mark, just wanted to ask you about being in the fight again tonight with these guys and the way that your team executed, particularly in overtime.
Yeah, I thought it was a great win because there's just like a lot. It was an uphill battle for us, a large part of the game. First half, especially, I just thought it was hard for us to catch a rhythm. Got some good shots that didn't fall, but we were able to kind of stay in the game because of our defense and the way we kind of scrapped, and we didn't let the lead get out of control despite a slow start offensively, and it allowed us to get the game in a manageable place at halftime and then played really well. But obviously, great experience for us against a team of that quality. All these games against them, they really stress test you.
You mentioned the defense, 29 turnovers, and I know you usually say it's about being in position and all that, but can you just talk about the activity within that, especially the hand activity, to generate so many turnovers?
Yeah, I just, with that particular team, I think it comes from handling their initial actions and their transition and getting them into the parts of the possession where they're at plan B or plan C, and it's really hard to do that. I mean, they're incredibly sharp. They finish each other's sentences out there, and so I just thought our effort tonight to get back, to set our defense, to handle their initial actions, force them to the next part of the play. A lot of the turnovers that we were able to force came from us being able to do that, so that was a huge key for us. Great effort by our team.
Mark, you guys always have a chance in a game where you shoot 5 for 29 from 3. They always kind of have a chance in a game where they have 29 turnovers. Can you kind of wrap your head around that kind of push and pull and just what the game feels like as it's unraveling as, possession by possession type game?
Yeah, I mean, we shot the ball incredibly poorly from 3, and they turned it over a lot, and someone's going to win anyways, and we were the team that won, obviously, in a really, really close game. We were fortunate to win that game. It could have gone either way, obviously, but, there's going to be shooting nights like that, and that's why you have to hang your hat on defense and also just stay in it mentally. I thought our mental toughness tonight, especially like I said in the first half, when you just can't quite get anything going, doesn't seem to go your way. I just thought we had great mental toughness. It wasn't an easy game for us by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, and I know you don't like to talk about maybe individual player shot making, but it felt like there was a moment in that fourth quarter where Jalen's kind of taking the game into his own hands. And there's like a moment where it feels like you kind of always had this kind of blank stare, but it feels like you're kind of staring through him just as as that sequence.
Me?
Yes. Maybe you don't remember, but as that sequence is unfolding, can you just describe the feeling as you're watching him kind of take over that game?
Well, I mean, he played probably the last 17 minutes of that game with the overtime, and it's almost like he got more energy as it went on, which is just, incredible conditioning, first of all. And then the competitiveness of him, he expends so much energy yelling after we get a stop, and yet he's got the juice to continue to guard. He had Curry for a couple minutes there when Lou went out. He was unbelievable. We had him all over the floor tonight, and obviously he closed that thing to a large degree for us on offense.
Mark, that's a difficult spot for Chet to be in, 3 free throws to tie the game. What are you thinking when he goes to the line, and what can you say about what that said about him doing it?
Yeah, I mean, just great mental toughness, but I have a lot of confidence in these players' ability to deliver in those situations and ability to be present in those situations. They just have a great competitive presence to them, and he's got that. We're not always going to deliver. The shots aren't always going to go in, but great toughness by him to step up and make those.
And then we've seen so many games where Shai maybe doesn't have a great rhythm at the start, and he plays himself into one. It seemed like J-Dub and Chet both kind of did that tonight, and I wonder what that what they can learn from that.
Yeah, it's a 48-minute game, and I thought we were ready to play because of the way we were defending. It wasn't like we were flat. We were defending like crazy. That's why we were able to keep it at 10 or 12 points or whatever it was. But we just, for whatever reason, offensively, we just couldn't get it going. Missed some good ones, like I said, shots that we would normally see fall, and being able to play through that. Against a quality opponent takes mental toughness, and you got to stay present and understand the length of the game. Thought we had the great maturity to do that tonight through a bunch of different stretches. Even in the third, it felt like an uphill game. We put a good lead together, and then the start of the fourth, their second unit did a great job, got them back in the game. They retook a lead. It was just we had to battle through a lot of hurdles tonight.
Do you notice when the crowd is different? Because it seemed very different tonight.
What do you mean different?
Louder.
Oh, they were juiced tonight. I mean, they've had that going a couple times, but this. I remember when I first got here. This was some home court, and we're starting to touch that on some nights. And tonight was one of those nights. They were great.
Mark, you talked a lot about mental toughness. It's not exactly something you can speed run of just being battle tested and just kind of go to the finish line and kind of get there. But through 21 games already, you've been in some very tough matchups with the Warriors a couple times, the Mavericks. What have you seen from this team so far that you like about their mental toughness early on, just for a young team, and how they've responded?
Great poise, great presence, like I said about tonight. And I think we have a team with good intellectual capacity, so they understand the games are long. They understand there's ups and downs in a season. They understand that not everything's going to be perfect. It's an imperfect game. And they're able to kind of calibrate those lessons pretty quickly and in real time in an impressive way. And I thought that was on display again tonight. I thought, the Dallas game was different. It was like an avalanche of, we were just, drinking from a fire hose, for a short period of time. Tonight was just a slog, that we had to just kind of battle through if we wanted to win the game. And to our credit, we battled through.
Mark, I know you said that your 100th win really didn't mean much to you at all the other day, but it's happened. Here we are. You got 100 wins, landmark. Can you at least kind of talk about just kind of getting here, and you didn't take over a championship team. You didn't, get handed the keys to anything, and here you are.
Yeah, it feels like the 99th one, and it'll feel like the 100th. We're happy. It's hard to win an NBA game. We're fortunate to win them when we win them.
And I have real quick about the game here. You left Chet in after you picked up 2 in the first quarter, and then early in the second quarter he picks up a third one pretty quick. Is that just a belief you have in Chet that he's going to be able to handle the game, or is it out of necessity because, of his size?
Yeah, I just want the refs to foul him out. I don't want to foul him out. So every time you sit a guy, I sat him with fouls end of the second quarter. I got him early there. I let him run a little bit in the first, but yeah, I have to manage it. But I think the conservative route, on that usually bites you. You end up losing the player for more minutes than if they foul out. Tonight's a great example. He didn't foul out of the game. Once in a while, because of the aggression, you'll lose a guy to fouls, and that's the cost of doing business. But I'd rather the refs do it than me.
Mark, I won't ask you to speak on officiating, but just early on that physicality, the responses to maybe some of those calls, how do you feel that maybe trickled into what you turned that game into?
Well, I mean, that's I like that crew. First of all, I really like that crew. I've known those guys for a long time, the G League guys for a long time, and Curtis Blair's really good. So I have no problem with them. I didn't love how it got called early, but I just thought that was just another hurdle we needed to clear. We weren't getting a whistle that we liked. Shots weren't falling. There was kind of some bounce of the ball stuff that didn't go our way. But the NBA is hard, and beating a team of that quality is really hard. And so if we want to be a good team, we're going to have to overcome hard things. And, tonight was a hard game. We overcame it. We were fortunate to get a win. But that's just, the refereeing is just when it's not going your way, it's just another hurdle that you have to clear. And the guys did a good job of staying present tonight with that.